Lamar Creation, singer, songwriter, artist, producer, engineer, out of the city of Chicago, born and raised on the west side, currently reside on the north side of Chicago. Well, I started my passion for music started in high school, actually. Well, a lot. My passion for music started in grammar school around eighth grade, and I got in trouble for writing raps in the back of the class during math class. And my parents actually tried to ban me from rap and just really music in general. And so a lot of the time I had to actually sneak and listen to music, especially, even before down the South. In high school, I joined poetry because poetry was the only space at my school that would expand my writing on a musical level. We didn't have anything. We didn't have any real music, classes or anything like that. It was just poetry. And poetry, they really challenged me, especially with being a rapper. They were the first people to tell me that I was Huff. So, you get that challenge and people telling you, you can do better. It's cliche. Write it again. Do it over. Not enough emotion. And so that was the first time I learned how to evoke emotion into my records. I did this program called Donda's House. So I was 19. Donda's House was, Kanye West and Rhyme Fest. I auditioned, I got in, and I met my mentor, whose name is Marlon King. Marlon King is a engineer and producer who used to have a studio that resided in the south suburbs, Blue Island. It was off 127th and Western. And Marlon was the first person that I ever seen engineer and mix a record. And he made me think he was cool. I was like, whoa, how you do it that fast? I've been doing it for a long time. I said, man, do you teach? He said, yeah, I got a studio, in the south suburbs. I'm a West Side kid. So the first thing I'm asking myself is, how am I even going to get to the south side, right? That south suburbs, there ain't no buses. I was a bus kid. And so came up with a game plan, found a way to get a car. I started my internship with Marlon, and that pretty much was the start of Lamar Creation as an engineer and a producer. I did a 12-week program and was running sessions right after. Obviously, I'm 10 years in the game now, so this was back in 2015. 10 years in the game now. Obviously, I continue to learn things from different people. I see different things, and I just continue to build my craft and practice. But even like my whole singing career, like I met a guy named Keenan Davis at Marlon's studio, and he convinced me that I knew how to sing just by the tone of my voice. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, yo, you should try this. You should try doing this. And he wrote me a song. And it was called King Forever. And I recorded this song, and that was really the start of Lamar Creation. I was the prototype in high school. That was the start of Lamar Creation. Lupe Fiasco had said that I think all of the greatest artists in the world has two names. Lupe Fiasco, Kanye West, Sean Carter, Lil Wayne. It's always two names. So I couldn't be prototype no more. I had to come up with a name that only had a first and a last name, but I needed that name to sound like a real name. You know what I mean? So we came up with Lamar Creation. Lamar Creation was the most R&B name I could come up with, except my actual government name, and I wasn't giving them that.
Thanks.
So became Lamar Creation. And the biggest thing that deciphered me differently from everybody else was not only was he, singing, and writing, but he was engineering everything. He was producing everything. His sound, I'm talking about myself in the third person, his sound was created from the start of nothing. Like when I sing a lyric, I know exactly how I want it to come off in the mix. I might give a certain inflection on a certain word, because I know how it's gonna come off in the mix. My back is always against the wall, to be honest with you, because I don't know what it is, true, but no matter what circle I'm in, I'm always against everybody, and I don't know what that is. I might though, and I'm gonna get to it. But I come in and I approach everything with love and passion. When I take on any client, the first thing I tell them, if they're a new client, I say, yo, let's have a sit down and let's have a conversation. I call it let's have a consultation. Let's figure out what it is that you want to get done, and let's figure out how long it would actually take, and let's map it out. So then that way, when you come into this space, you can feel comfortable. You know me. You know what my intentions are with you. And we have a clear goal. I don't want you to waste no money, no time, no efforts, no nothing, because we only get one shot at this.
Right.
To create a first time impression with each other. So I approach everything with love. My daughter was a big piece of that. My daughter is a COVID baby, and I got fired around the time of COVID.
Okay.
They kept me for a bit, and then I got into a car accident that put me out of work. And when I finally came, I noticed that they were trying to rush me to come back. And so when I finally went back, they kept me for like a week, and then they opened up an investigation on me, and they fired me.
Okay.
And so at that point, that was my opportunity to try to do something for myself, which was start a business. And like I said, I had a daughter at the time, and my biggest thing, as she was getting older in age, and now she's 5, I asked myself, what type of example does she see in the people that are around her? And to be honest with you, I feel like I am her greatest hope.
Yeah.
And anybody, like I'm her greatest hope. And so I gotta, whatever I decided to do, I needed to put my all into it. And absolutely 100% succeed in it. Failure is not an option at this point. It's not, because this is what she knows me to do. She said, Dada, you know what my favorite singer is? I said, who? She said, you. I thought you just saying that because I'm saying it right here, or are you for real? She said, I'm for real. I said, well, tell me a song. And she gets to singing the songs. She knows the song, word by word.
Biggest motivation.
Like, absolutely. That's how I gotta do it. I remember when she was a baby. Whenever my songs came on, she would get to dancing. If she could walk or not, she would dance, bro. And I said, I got a hit on my hands. And if she didn't dance, I knew it wasn't it. You know, music inspires my mood.
Mm-hmm.
So I could be feeling like crap, but if somebody plays something for me that's funky, groovy, or whatever, I'm in that zone. That's the mood that I'm in, and that's what I'm going to write about. I did have the pleasure, though, as of recently, to step into a realm that I had never stepped into before. I actually got hired by someone to write a song about their late husband.
Okay.
This was a little different for me because one, I had never wrote about something that personal, not even in my own life, let alone about that topic matter. I wrote about dying. Like I wrote about, dying in the moment. And, I was known as the love guy. This, the question started to become, can this dude write about anything else? But, that's what I grew up on. I grew up on Carl Thomas, Tank, Donnell Jones. These the love guys. So I, wrote this record, and basically what happened was her late husband died in a hot air balloon accident. And without giving too much of her story, because she don't even think it was an accident, without giving too much of her story, it's going to come out eventually, right? I had to sit down with her and I said, okay, if I'm going to write this song in the perspective of this man, who is your husband? I need to know who he is. I need to know what he stood for. I need to know about his childhood. I need to know how he thought. Can you give me this? And she said, I will tell you anything you want to know. And we sat there for 2 hours, True. 2 hours. Almost 3. Just talking. And I'm taking notes. And starting from his childhood to his most traumatic experiences. Most traumatic experiences. And I'm just like, wow. I said, okay, go home. Go home and wait for me to email you. I'm going to send you something. And she left, and I sent her the song, and she emailed me back, and she said, wow. She said, I played this song, I kid you not, 87 times.
Wow.
It was just the first verse, True. It was the first verse in the hook. I hadn't even wrote the second verse yet. It was just the first verse in the hook. She said, I forgot that I was even listening to a song. I thought my husband was right here talking to me. And I said, I've unlocked something. And then she came, but we had another session. And I wrote the second verse in front of her this time. And me and her had a moment where we both cried. I cried because I had tapped so deep into him, I started to feel his pain. And yes, she started crying because she felt like I was telling his story directly to her. I want my legacy to be that he was a really hard worker. I want it to be that he worked really hard and that he was really passionate about what he did. He was really, really good at what he did. He not only wanted the best for himself, but he wanted the best for his peers and those that were around him. And he made everybody that was around him better.
Okay. I like that. So how can we tap into your music, support your work, or collab with you? Drop them tags for me.
You can find me on all social media platforms at Lamar Creation. It's no S, just Lamar Creation. And then same thing, you can find me on all streaming platforms at Lamar Creation, no S. And then my email, if they want to, get at me for inquiries, they can actually reach out to my management. And that email is simmgmtagency@gmail.com. Simmons Management Agency @gmail.com. That's all abbreviated.
Okay. Drop your name one more time.
I'm Lamar Creation, no S, LamarCreation. Lamar Creation. And my catchphrase is, yeah!